All right, this song is one of my desert island favorites. Went from being an 80s pop song where it was sort of victim slash beneficiary of the MTV era, where a lot of the videos from Men at Work were really goofy. This was probably the least goofy of the ones that I remember watching when I was a kid. But who could it be now? Johnny Be Good, It's a Mistake, Land Down Under. I mean, those are some of the ones I remember being really tough, you know, that didn't really serve the songs well for the long run, but obviously gave the band tons of exposure. And so I'm sure they weren't complaining when they had 4 top 10 hits from their 3 albums together. And so pretty good batting average, no regrets there. But this one I think is really well served by the re-release that was done by Colin Hay. It slows the whole thing down a little. Some of the elements that are deleted, you can appreciate the vocals better, you can appreciate the lyrics. And just the song just kind of rolls out and feels more like a singer-songwriter, because it is such an introspective song. And some of their other songs too, they deal with pretty serious issues, but in sort of a lighthearted vibe. And that can be good from a pop music standpoint, but can also take a song like this one, and like I said, I mean, it's one of my favorite all-time songs. First time I sat down with it, I kind of rushed it and I didn't really understand the nuance of a few of those chords, so I'll focus on those components here in the lesson. And so let's get right down to it. Here we go. The song is in the key of D, so it's centered mostly here. Basically just changing the bass notes to achieve this chromatic walk. And so that's the net feeling, that you feel like you're kind of falling down with the verse. And here's where it begins. And then I move like this to make my fingers a minor third apart there. So I'm basically, you could do it one of 2 ways. You could approach it with the regular bar chord we're all comfortable with, or you could play it this way, where you're going to play the root of that bar chord with your middle finger. Okay? And then you just lift it. Then you slide down. So that root chord here is a D, and then it's a D over C sharp, and then it's a C, and then a C over B. Those are slash chords. They're owning it here, you know, with, I should say, Colin Hay is owning it with his mechanics, the way he put this riff together. So I think it's really great. From there, it does that 4 times every verse. Once you conquer that, and it's okay if in between, if you hit that open A, it's fine while you're adjusting your fingers. So the important thing is keep this thing gunning the whole time. I'm doing downstrokes. You could approach it a little more expressively, or you could even make it a little more folky. After the first verse, it comes in with the 12 string, and you're basically just playing the root, 5th, 3rd, and of each one of those chords. So it's the same idea. So if you're playing with somebody else, you can have something interesting to do. So for the next part, which really is the only other part as far as the rhythm structure goes, B minor chord. So if you know your bar chords here, this is rooted on the A string, 2nd fret, is that minor bar chord. And you can either treat it the same way, with that kind of power chordy feel, or what I like to do is lift up my pinky and let that little open G kind of wobble in there. And you could do a little Easter egg. Who can it be now? I like to do that just for my own fun. And then A with a sus4 on there. Then take the sus4 away. So it's a regular A chord, and then you're basically tagging on this little D note here that is on the 3rd fret of the B string. And this little, so So that's back to the sus4, back to the regular A, and you're just doing this 4th fret on the G string, and then back to the regular A chord. So you're basically just modifying that chord. Then you move back to that B again, minor. Who can hit B minor? And now this time we're changing to this chord, and this was the thing that eluded me the first time I did this. And this, you could probably achieve this chord in different ways, but this is the one you want to take a look at, okay? So I'm playing pointer finger on the 5th fret of the low E, middle finger on the 5th fret of the D, so nobody's home on the A string there. You can skip that one and deaden it with that part of your pointer finger there. So you're fretting this note and that note on the E and D strings. And then on the 6th fret, you're gonna park your ring finger there, but initially you're gonna play the, put your pinky down on that 7th fret, so it's, and then you open it up. So that killed me the first time I was doing that. I was trying to figure out how to get that. It's just not the same as, it's got a really cool feel to it. Same form, slide it down to this, be rooted on the 2nd fret, which is now an F sharp. And you're gonna, this time it's gonna be the pinky is on the 4th fret, and the pointer and the ring are on the 2nd fret of the E and D string. So it's that same shape, and I'll review it again in a second. And now you come off and your ring finger's waiting. So that's the only real awkward part, especially if you're gonna sing along with this tune. If you're gonna sing it, that can be a little bit. And then I like to do walk back up, and I tag this 2nd fret of the B string, and then I leverage that into a G chord. It's kind of a, it's my modified G. I'm not playing the B. For some reason that just suits my fingers better when I do that. So that's a G chord, and then the A brings us back to the, all right? So put all that together. You're gonna repeat that sequence for the 1st verse, which starts right out of the gate, 2nd verse. Then that delivers you to this part here, when you get back again to here. And after he says, disappear and fade away. Favorite line coming up. Come back another day. I have a lot of favorite lines in this one. And then it moves to the lead. What you're looking for here is, does this riff as expected 4 times, but then it only goes to the B minor, and it skips the first A sus little arrangement, skips that, and it goes right to then and no A. This time it just builds off that G, and this is when his voice goes up an octave, which I wouldn't be doing anybody any favors if I went there, but I can get to sleep, except but higher. I think about the implications, but he does that kind of really cool, you know, 5th gear with the voice. That is his signature, and only he can do it so well. So pretty cool. All right, and that's the whole tune. In the end, it goes back and forth for the ghosts appear and fade aways. To the G, so this little modified F sharp. And the last time he just arpeggiates it kind of. it's done. As far as the lyrics go, he's writing this from a point where the band is hitting on all cylinders. They've got hits. He's becoming famous and enjoying stardom and money and all that goes along with it, but also kind of begrudgingly, as I think a lot of stars, once they pray to hit, and then all of a sudden once they do, it's like, can I reel that back in, and so the overkill thing, it could be thought of from like a mental health standpoint, where he's thinking about obsessing over things and insomnia, and could be depression, all these other different modes, especially not being able to sleep and wandering, the loneliness and dislocation that comes along again with being kind of like in a new place, leaving Australia, coming to America, and being famous here, and the temptations that go with that as far as substances and other things. We're not going to really get into that, but he does mention the fact that it was like diving into the unknown. It's his own words in talking about this, and so I think we can all relate in our own ways. And this song is a beautifully poetic song that allows for a lot of connection points all the way throughout, and the emotion that comes through in the vocal is really stunning. If you haven't heard this version of it, like I said, I think it really lends itself to that singer-songwriter feel. What other songs can you think of where a band reimagines their own song in such a way that it adds power to the song and makes it relevant to a whole new audience and in a whole new era? There's your homework. Check those out, and in the comments, post any ideas that you have. Maybe I'll reserve any of my own. We'll see what people come up with. And so that's your assignment. Hope you had fun. See you on the next one.